Hey guys, this is Brianna,
And this is Sarah.
and we are going to talk to you today about the GATE assessment.
GATE stands for Gifted and Talented Education. And the definition by the National Association for Gifted Children is that gifted individuals are those who demonstrate outstanding levels of aptitude, which is defined as an exceptional ability to reason and learn, or competence, which is documented performance or achievement in top 10% or rarer, in one or more domains. Domains include any structured area of activity with its own symbol system, like mathematics, music, and language, or a set of sensory motor skills like painting, dance, and sports. There's also a second definition, which is a federal definition of gifted and talented, which is, when used with respect to students, children, or youth, means students, children, or youth who give evidence of high achievement capability in such areas as intellectual, creative, artistic, or leadership capacity, or in a specific academic field, and who needs services or activities not ordinarily provided by the school in order to fully develop these capabilities. Other characteristics of gifted learners include the fact that they learn new material faster and at an earlier age than same-aged peers, remembers what has been learned, which makes review unnecessary, is able to deal with concepts that are too complex and abstract for grade-level peers, has a passionate interest in one or more topics and would spend all available time learning about that topic if he or she could, and does not need to watch the teacher to hear what is being said, and they can operate on multiple brain channels simultaneously and process more than one task at a time.
So the description of this assessment is kind of split in two. We have the achievement test and the ability test, and those are kind of up to each school or district and their program of choice. So the achievement test determines what the students have already learned and if they are more advanced than their grade level peers. And that's tested using standardized tests like SAT, ITBS, or MRS, or academic specific tests like math or ELA, since those are kind of the more common areas to be accelerated in. And then there's also like GATE specific tests. One is the test of mathematical abilities for gifted students, and the other is the screening assessment for gifted elementary students. So they have one that's probably geared toward upper grades, and then the one that's geared toward elementary age students. The ability test, on the other hand, is based on IQ or cognitive ability, and it's used to identify gifted and talented students. However, they did mention that it's not as effective in identifying creative, leadership, or other abilities. So it's pretty much strictly based on if you're smart, not if you have other incredible abilities. That can be tested individually or as a group. For individual, they have the Stanford Binet or the Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children. And then for group, they have, I'm going to guess this is COG-AT or COG-AT, I'm not sure, and then the Otis Lennon or Hemin-Nelson. So those are the two ways that the assessment can be given. And then scores from these assessments are used to describe the student's performance in relation to others, or the degree to which a student possesses a particular characteristic in relation to a standard level of performance.
And just as a clarification, GATE assessment, there is no one set assessment to determine whether a student is GATE or not. There's different ways to identify GATE students, which is the objective way, which is through the assessments, which, as Brianna just described, the achievement test and the ability test. And then there's also subjective ways to identify GATE students, which can be done through nominations by the student themselves, a teacher, an administrator, or a parent. And when this is done, they fill out a gifted characteristic checklist, inventory, and nomination forms to see where the student stands. There's also teacher observation and ratings, which they see through their learning and motivation scales, as well as they can look at the students' portfolios and performances, and the students' educational profiles, which is a case study done by the teacher. And why is this important? Gifted and talented students and those with high abilities need gifted education programs that will challenge them in regular classroom settings, and enrichment and accelerated programs to enable them to make continuous progress in school.
So which teachers are affected by GATE? And Realistically, all of them. Unfortunately, every school should have an expert in GATE, but many don't. So that basically means that all teachers need to have some basic understanding of how to identify and work with gifted students.
In some aspects, teachers, they should all be able to do is recognize the learning differences, developmental milestones, and cognitive affective characteristics of gifted and talented students, including those from diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds, and identify their related academic and social emotional needs. Teachers also need to design appropriate learning and performance modifications for individuals with gifts and talents that enhance creativity, acceleration, depth, and complexity in academic subject matter and specialized domains. And teachers also need to select, adapt, and use a repertoire of evidence-based instructional strategies to advance the learning of gifted and talented students.
So it's not just based upon whether or not you have some experience in GATE or you've been trained in GATE, but all teachers, whether they teach general ed or even special ed, need to be aware of the fact that GATE students can be anywhere and they need to be supported. Something we found interesting was that the GATE program had 6 standards that it follows, and they go all the way from pre-K through 12th grade. Each standard is a little bit different in where the standard begins. So some of them don't begin until later, like 6th grade, just because of the developmental level of the student. So first we have learning and development. It says many of the characteristics addressed in this standard emphasize affective development linked to self-understanding and social awareness paired with cognitive growth. So this standard isn't just focused on the student's brain abilities, but also their personality and their leadership abilities. The second one is on assessment. Teachers differentiate their curriculum and instruction by using pre and post, performance-based, product-based, and out-of-level assessments. So instead of just the typical paper and pen tests, teachers for GATE or even general ed teachers need to focus on giving lots of different types of assessments because these learners are different. The third one is curriculum and instruction. The curriculum, instructional strategies, and materials and resources must engage a variety of learners using culturally responsive practices. We all know culturally responsive pedagogy is really important, and GATE students aren't just any one culture and don't come from any one background, so it's important that we differentiate our instruction for them as well. Number 4 is learning environments. Effective educators of students with gifts and talents create safe learning environments that foster emotional well-being, positive social interaction, leadership for social change, and cultural understanding for success in a diverse society. So it's not just creating a physical environment, but making sure that the students feel like they're being well kept for and their needs are being met. Number 5 is programming. So educators use a variety of programming options, such as acceleration and enrichment in varied group arrangements, which could be cluster grouping, resource rooms, special classes, or special schools. And within individualized learning options, like independent study, mentorships, online courses, or internships, to enhance students' performance in cognitive and affective areas and to assist them in identifying future career goals. So programming for gifted students isn't just focused on what they can learn today, but how what they learn can help them for their future. And 6 is professional development. This is one of the ones that doesn't begin until 6th grade just because it doesn't really make sense until then to start. Professional development may take many forms, ranging from district-sponsored workshops and courses, university courses, professional conferences, independent studies, and presentations by external consultants, and should be based on systematic needs assessments and professional reflection. So this is actually really geared toward the teachers as well. So the teachers need to have the development that they need to make sure that the program works well, and in turn provide resources for their students.
So thanks for watching. We hope you learned a little bit about what a GATE student is, how to identify a GATE student, and the assessments you can use, and also what you can do and need to do as a teacher with GATE students.
Bye, guys.
Bye.